Imagine a gift so mysterious, so shrouded in secrets, that its mere presence awakens the deepest curiosity in those who receive it. The idea of discovering what is hidden inside becomes an obsession, something that consumes every thought. Now, stop for a moment and think. What if this seemingly harmless curiosity were to trigger a disaster of unimaginable proportions? Pandora's story begins long before she is presented with this enigmatic box, in a time marked by a titanic war between powerful gods and giant titans. A time when the balance of the world was at stake and divine decisions shaped the fate of mortals. This cosmic battle between Olympus and the Titans ended with the victory of the gods led by Zeus. It seemed that peace was finally reigning, but Prometheus, a cunning Titan who had fought alongside the Olympians, had other plans. Moved by a mixture of compassion and rebellion, he decided to steal the fire from the gods and give it to humanity. This act was not just a gesture of kindness, but a direct challenge to Zeus' authority. The flame he gave to humans was not just a tool. It was the symbol of knowledge, of civilization, and, paradoxically, of the danger that divine power represented. Prometheus' decision to steal the fire and give it to humans was not taken lightly. He was well aware of the possible consequences he would face for defying Zeus, but his compassion for humanity spoke louder. For Prometheus, mortals were fragile and helpless creatures, living at the mercy of the whims of the gods. Fire, as well as being a source of heat and light, represented the capacity for evolution, for progress, something that could elevate humans to a new level of existence. But Prometheus also understood that this gift did not come without risks. By giving men the power of fire, he also offered them the responsibility of using it wisely, a heavy burden that could lead to either greatness or destruction. Zeus, on discovering the theft, felt his authority threatened. As the supreme ruler of Olympus, he could not allow such a flagrant act of rebellion to go unpunished. For him, fire was not just a physical resource, but a symbol of divine power, something the gods possessed and controlled. By handing it over to mortals, Prometheus not only provided them with a valuable tool, but also challenged the balance of power that Zeus held so dear. Zeus' anger was not limited to Prometheus' betrayal. It extended to humanity itself, which, by receiving the fire, came to possess something that was not meant for them, something that could eventually put them on a collision course with the gods. Zeus, furious at Prometheus' audacity, knew that he needed retribution. As king of the gods, he would not let this offense go unpunished. Determined to punish not only the Titan, but also the humanity that had received the fire, Zeus devised a meticulous plan. He wanted to create something that looked like a gift, but actually carried a curse. So he ordered Hephaestus, the god of the forge, to shape the first mortal woman. This woman would be the key to his revenge plan, and her name would be Pandora, which means bearer of all gifts. Zeus was not only a powerful god, but also a cunning strategist. He knew that in order to punish Prometheus and humanity, he needed to create something that was both irresistible and devastating. The creation of Pandora was a masterpiece in this sense. By asking Hephaestus, the talented god of the forge, to shape the first mortal woman, Zeus was initiating a plan that involved both beauty and deception. Pandora would be a gift that no mortal could refuse, but one that carried within it the seed of ruin. Every detail of her creation was designed to attract, seduce, and ultimately destabilize the fragile order that Prometheus had helped to create. While Hephaestus worked to shape Pandora, other gods also contributed their skills and attributes. Aphrodite gave her an unparalleled beauty that would enchant anyone who saw her. Hermes, the messenger of the gods, gave her the gift of persuasion and a sweet speech capable of influencing even the hardest of hearts. Athena, the goddess of wisdom, gave her manual skills, making Pandora adept at women's work. But hidden among these gifts was the most treacherous gift of all, an insatiable curiosity. This trait, implanted by Zeus, would ensure that Pandora fulfilled her role in the divine plan of revenge. When Pandora was finally presented to humanity, she seemed to be nothing less than a heavenly gift. Her name, bearer of all gifts, reflected the perfection with which she had been created. No one could have imagined that within her lay the potential for destruction. Pandora's beauty and grace masked the true intention behind her creation. Zeus knew that the humans, enchanted by her presence, would not question the danger hidden within her. The curiosity she had been given was not a mere whim, but the trigger for the calamity that was about to be unleashed. The box, or jar, given to Pandora was no ordinary object. It was an artifact of immense power and mystery. Its carefully crafted exterior gave no clues as to what lay inside. Humans, accustomed to seeing divine gifts as blessings, had no reason to suspect that something so beautiful could bring misfortune. Pandora herself, with her innate curiosity, couldn't keep her mind off what might be in there. With each passing day, the box seemed to call out to her, as if whispering promises of knowledge and hidden power, sparking her desire to uncover the secret even more. Pandora's curiosity, however, was not just a trivial desire. It was almost a need, an internal force that grew with each passing moment. By imbuing Pandora with this characteristic, Athena knew that she was planting a seed that would germinate sooner or later. Pandora couldn't resist temptation for long. The very idea that something so powerful was within her grasp, but beyond her comprehension, was a torment. The nights became sleepless, the days a constant internal battle between the duty to obey and the desire to know. Until finally, in a moment of weakness and desire, Pandora gave in, allowing curiosity to overcome fear. When the lid was lifted, Pandora barely had time to regret it. In an instant, darkness spread across the world, like a shadow swallowing everything around it. The entities that had been trapped in the box for so long broke free, bringing with them all the evils that now afflict humanity. It was as if the air itself had changed, becoming heavier, harder to breathe. From that moment on, human life would never be the same. Where there had once been peace and harmony, there was now pain and suffering. Earth, which had once been a place of balance, became a testing ground where mortals would have to fight against adversity in order to survive. The moment Pandora closed the box, she realized that not everything had escaped. Deep inside, there was still something that moved, something that, unlike the other evils, didn't seem to be filled with darkness. That something was hope, a silent, almost imperceptible force, but one that contained unimaginable power. Unlike the entities that had been freed, hope did not come into the world to destroy, but to heal. It didn't erase the suffering that Pandora had unleashed, but it offered a way of dealing with it. And so, even without meaning to, Pandora became the bearer of a duality. The evils that would ravage humanity and the hope that would give them the strength to resist. Hope, although small and fragile, had a resilience that was surprising. While disease, sadness, and misery swept through the world, hope found its way into human hearts. It didn't manifest itself in grandiose or thunderous ways, but rather in small gestures, in moments of solidarity and courage. It was what led a farmer to plant again after a devastated harvest, or a craftsman to start again after a tragedy. This subtle but constant force kept people going, prevented them from surrendering to complete despair. Hope thus became an inseparable companion of humanity, always offering a thread of light, however faint, in the midst of darkness. Interestingly, the concept of hope within the Pandora myth raises many philosophical questions. Some scholars suggest that hope could be seen as both a blessing and a curse. After all, hope keeps humans fighting, even when the chances of success seem slim. In extreme situations, it can be what prevents resignation, but it can also prolong suffering by fueling expectations that never come true. This ambiguity of hope is part of the complexity of the myth, showing that even the most valuable gifts can have a dark side. Hope, like the fire that Prometheus gave humanity, carries with it a responsibility and a risk. Another fascinating aspect of hope in the Pandora myth is how it has been interpreted over the centuries. In ancient Greece, hope was often associated with Elpis, a minor deity represented as a young woman with wings and a serene countenance, holding a cornucopia. The presence of Elpis in the myth suggests that, even in the darkest narrative, the Greeks believed in the possibility of redemption and renewal. Hope was not only an internal force, but also a connection with the divine, a bridge between mortals and the gods. This interpretation transcended myth, influencing literature, philosophy, and religion throughout history, making hope one of the central themes in the human search for meaning and purpose. The story of Pandora, with its central theme of curiosity and consequent misfortune, is not isolated in the pantheon of mythological narratives. Many cultures around the world have myths that explore curiosity as a powerful force, both creative and destructive. The story of Adam and Eve, for example, is perhaps the best-known parallel. In this biblical tale, Eve's temptation by the serpent to eat the forbidden fruit results in her loss of innocence and expulsion from Eden. Like Pandora, Eve is driven by a desire for knowledge that defies a divine prohibition, triggering a series of events that forever alter the destiny of humanity. This convergence of themes suggests that stories of curiosity and profound consequences are universal, reflecting fears and hopes shared by different cultures. The parallel between Pandora and Eve raises the question of the extent to which these narratives may have influenced each other. Although Greek and Hebrew cultures developed independently, cultural exchange through trade and colonization could have allowed ideas and myths to intersect and evolve. The ancient Greeks, known for their travels and interactions with other civilizations in the Mediterranean and the Middle East, could have found echoes of their own stories in other cultures, or perhaps influenced the way these stories were told. This exchange of ideas could have contributed to the formation of myths that, although distinct in their origins, share similar themes of curiosity, transgression, and the consequences of these actions. As well as Adam and Eve, we can see echoes of Pandora's story in other mythological and religious traditions. In Norse mythology, for example, there is the myth of Loki, whose curious and mischievous nature often causes problems for gods and mortals alike. Like Pandora, Loki is an ambiguous figure whose actions, although apparently evil, also bring change and new realities to the world. In Pandora's case, her curiosity leads to the release of evil, but also to the introduction of hope. Similarly, Loki's actions result in chaos, but also in a new balance. These myths suggest that curiosity, although dangerous, is a necessary force for transformation and evolution. The possibility that these stories have influenced each other, or at least share a common origin, leads us to reflect on the power of narratives in shaping cultural consciousness. Stories like Pandora or Adam and Eve are not just entertainment. They are ways of teaching, of transmitting values, and of exploring life's big questions. They shape our understanding of good and evil, right and wrong, and what it means to be human. Through these stories, generations of people have reflected on the limits of curiosity, the nature of temptation, and the consequences of choices. The myth of Pandora, like many others, continues to resonate because it speaks to something deep and essential in the human experience. The eternal tension between the desire to know and the fear of the consequences of that knowledge.